How lucky am I? Former teammates. We've got an analyst for Fox NFL Sunday. He worked 11 hours yesterday, Rob Gronkowski. And, I mean, I'm sure you'll join me in welcoming Aqib Talib. You two know each other.
Aqib, my homie, what's good, brother?
What's the deal, baby? Hey, how you doing?
I was so happy when we traded for you when I was in New England, when you were on the Tampa Bay Bucks, and then Aqib came over his first game. He had a pick six to the house. Pretty sure it was like 59 yards versus the Indianapolis Colts, and then you came over that night, and we had a good time celebrating, brother. You remember that?
All day. Yeah, we gotta keep the post-game festivities under wraps, but you know I remember that, Gronk. You know I remember that.
Boo. I want to know, Aqib, what you remember about that. What do you remember about that celebration?
Foxborough, it's a small town, man. So either you go 40 minutes to Boston or you go to Gronk house and chill. So, you know, it's just regular Gronk activities, man. Y'all know what that is.
Regular Gronk activities.
Yeah, and it was young Gronk, too. So when you're talking about young Gronk, you can speculate. You can speculate everything possible that's on the table.
Look, young Gronk, man. Everything on the table, baby.
Aqib, what was your impression of young Gronk when you first met him?
A dog, okay? You know what it was? We had a training camp practice against the Patriots, right? I was playing for the Bucks, and Bill and the guys came, and that's when I probably first seen it live. Like, he a monster, man. So just upbeat and a real ball player. So I was excited to you know, not have to go against him.
I remember that. So we went down there. We were playing the Bucks in preseason. So we went down, you know, when you have the joint practices. Yeah. We went down 3 days early. We flew in the night before, and then we went to the hotel. We woke up, and then we had practice at like 9 a.m. And it was the hottest practice I've ever dealt with in my whole entire life. I'm talking like 95% humidity. It was like 95 degrees out. And it was one of the worst scenarios I've ever put myself through. I wanted to pass out like 5 different times. I was literally running 1 mile per hour by like, you know, the fourth period because I was just drenched in sweat and so out of breath. And Aqib was out there. This is what I remember. I look at that guy, and he was talking garbage 24/7 while I was just trying to catch my breath. Aqib, that's when I knew you were an absolute machine. And then we traded for you later. I think it was that year or the year after, and I was like, man, I'm gonna love this guy to have him on your team. You don't want to go against Talib. You want him on your team. So that was really cool when that scenario happened.
You two were against each other.
I never forget those.
Yeah,
I never forget those joint practices right there. That's what made Bill come and get me.
Yeah, there we go. And then you guys went and made magic. I was at the game, the AFC Championship game in 2015. It was to that moment, the loudest atmosphere I had ever been in. Everything was shaking. When I Google the names, Aqib Talib and Gronkowski, there's lots made about this. I take it you two got over this. 2 minutes left to keep Patriots down, 4th and 6. Talk me through this. That was a great
pass breakup. I mean, it was 4th down play. You see me rising up over Gronk right there. Great pass breakup, no PI at all.
Yeah, you know, that was never going to get called, but Aqib was a veteran DB right there, so he knew what he was doing. I mean, it's kind of like when in the situation, you know, when I kind of like have a push-off, but I go down and I use my shoulder and I kind of give the chicken nugget. It's clear. Can you see it? Like I go down, give the chicken nugget, but I don't extend all the way. And if I extend all the way, that's a penalty. But if I don't, I just use my shoulder, my body, and my elbow, the ref's never going to call that, even though technically it's kind of a push-off. You kind of used it to your advantage as a DB. Yeah. You grabbed me down below while you were really close to me. So it wasn't like you could see the extension of my jersey or anything, and you're just pulling me down so the jersey wasn't extending at all. So therefore, the referee was never going to call it. Plus, there was 3 guys around me, so the chances of me catching that ball were actually probably pretty high still, because I'm a beast like that, Aqib.
Hey, you got to jump first, Kay. That's the secret.
Oh, okay.
You got to jump first. So if you in the air and you're looking at the ball, it don't really matter what else you're doing with your offhand. So jump first. That's the secret. That's what I try to teach my kids.
I love everyone's getting along.
Hang time, jump first.
Aqib, let me show you this play from last night. Chiefs-Chargers, was this holding? Chargers fans all over this. What do you think, Aqib?
I don't think.
I'm trying to look at
who are we talking about?
It's a great question.
Creed Humphrey on the center?
Ham, I don't know. Mahomes was rushing for 10. He's trying to get him into field goal range. Man,
that's just Mahomes being Mahomes. You gonna pray for anything to save you, but at the end of the day, man, it's only Mahomes. You going against Mahomes, so
They're
You
saying
can
the
pray
right
for
tackle and the
holdings
right
and
guard.
pass interference. That's definitely not holding on. No way.
Nah,
No
I don't see
no
any holds
holding
there
at
either.
all.
I mean, there
Not at
have
all.
definitely been some controversial calls with the Kansas City Chiefs, but I ain't gonna lie, that play, I don't see a hold, man. I just see a couple
Not at
football
all.
players playing football, and that's all. Maybe a little tugging, a little grabbing, but nothing too serious. You got to let it go in some scenarios. In that case right there, that
Definitely.
was just Mahomes being Mahomes, like Akib said.
Well, we whiffed on that. Apologies, guys. At Up and Adam Show, if you guys have any questions, we've got, of course, Super Bowl champion Akib Talib, Rob Gronkowski here. So you're saying there's calls that have gone their way. There's this whole narrative. There's these one-possession games. They've won and clinched the AFC West title for the 9th straight year. Akib, you were part of a Patriots run of 11 straight division titles. What is it like to be on a team with that kind of continued dominance? Do you buy into the fact that they're playing down to competition, making it close against the Raiders, the Panthers, the Chargers? Is there anything to that? Because you guys didn't seem to lack motivation. What do you make of these Chiefs?
Sometimes you want teams who just go blow everybody out, and that's fine and dandy. But I think you really build them calluses. You really build yourself as a team when you win those close games, man. If you show yourself that you can win those close games, I think it do a lot for you in the postseason. So I think, man, it's wonderful for the Chiefs, man. Winning all these close games. When they get to a close game in January, it's gonna be like, hey, this is what we do. So I always say for quarterbacks, man, we never talk about the skill of winning. And some quarterbacks have it, some quarterbacks don't. Patty got it, Tom had it, Peyton had it. So you see a lot of those successful teams, their quarterback got that skill of winning, man. You know how to win those games at the end of the game. So
This is a good thing for them, Akib?
yeah, I think it is, man. You can blow out a few teams, but when you can win those close games, you come in the locker room feeling better off a close win than you do off a major blowout. I mean, a major blowout is like, all right, what we doing? A close win, you're gonna kind of be hanging out in that locker room. You're gonna feel that vibe a little bit. So I think it's good for them. Not that they need to practice. I mean, they do it every year, but I think it's good for them, man.
What do you think, Gronk?
I think they're going to need to be able to put it together on the offensive side of the ball because there's going to be a team that comes in hot, like, you know, if they face the Detroit Lions, the Buffalo Bills again, like it happened already this year. That offense is going to have to pick it up. No doubt about it, and I think they will. I think when the games become bigger, the scenario becomes bigger, they know how to adjust and adapt, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs for you. But that's their mentality. That's the way that they win games. It's not like they have the offensive weapons right now, compared to, when they had Tyreek Hill and all those guys where they just launched the ball down the field consecutively every play. So the way that they're winning, that's all that matters. Patrick Mahomes can adjust in any scenario, in any situation. That's why he's one of the winningest quarterbacks already in the NFL, and that's why he has 3 Super Bowl rings. And on top of it, it's just incredible every time he has that final drive. You can't put that ball into the Kansas City Chiefs' hands on the final drive of the game because you know they're going to go down and find a way. You just have to put the pressure on the Chiefs, and that's when they amp it up to the next level. And that's what they did again last night. They had 4 minutes left in the clock, drove down the field, and then kicked the field goal to win the game. So don't give the ball to Patrick Mahomes with time left if you want to win. It's easy as that, but that's actually pretty difficult to do, too.
Hey, easier said than done, bro.
Exactly.
Akib, did you watch Bills Rams?
I did.
I would just love to know your takeaway. The losing team's getting all the love that never happens, and then you've got the Bills defense I want to ask you about, but what stuck out to you from this one?
The Bills defense stuck out to me. I love what Josh Allen is doing, man. He's controlling the game. He don't have to worry about getting a certain guy the ball. He can spread it around. He can run, and he's controlling the game. He's doing his job. But that defense, though, okay, it just don't look championship-like to me, man. I'm not putting no cash on the Bills when they play a cold team. I just can't do it because they play that kind of conservative. We're gonna stay too high and let you get close to the red zone, and then we're gonna lock. I don't really buy in. I don't really like the secondary. I don't see them winning the chip with that defense.
What don't you like about it? What's the problem with the secondary? Because I mean, Stafford was unstoppable. Puka Nacua looked like the best player I've ever seen. Dig into this defense and what needs to be fixed.
It's too many points on the board. It's it's almost easy. It's Josh Allen has to overcome everything. The defense they're not having games where they giving guys 10 points or 3 points or where they just look dominant, where they look like a championship defense. In my opinion, defense going to still win you that championship. Now, in today's game, offense still cranking up, but man, you see when it come down to the nitty-gritty, the defense is going to have to get stops in key situations. I don't know if Buffalo doing that.
Yeah, but Akeem, it's not like there was any blown coverages from the Buffalo Bills on the defensive side of the ball. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp were just making excellent plays, and it's not like anyone else in the league could have stopped them from making those plays. Like that catch from Puka over his shoulder and then tapping his toes in and falling out of bounds. No one could stop that. The ball was perfectly placed. Puka, a wide receiver probably makes that catch percentage of making that catch probably 10 to 15%. So it's not like the Bills were, playing terrible football. I mean, they were competitive. They were there to, stop them, but just the Rams were just on fire. It's just one of those games where it was a shootout.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? So I don't see the Bills being, that bad defensively. I think it was just one of those games where just points were just going to be put up no matter what. And Matthew Stafford and offensive and company were just absolutely on fire.
Right, and then I'm scrolling through the scores. I see a lot of 10 points, so they actually are keeping people down, and with those points, some of these games. I mean, but it's the Jags, it's the Cardinals, it's offenses ain't that good. So I don't know. It's when I think of championship defense, I want to see the names at corner. I want to see some guys who we can rely on, man. I want to see some safeties, some middle backers. They got Milano back, but I want to see some guys we can rely on, man. They got my guy Vaughn over there. They got Milano back. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. They solid up front, but I just don't look at Buffalo and say that's a championship defense. It's just something about it.
I think it's scary that there wasn't a lot. I mean, there was the Kyron Williams one. That was a tough one to swallow. But, I mean, schematically, defense, whatever, they weren't missing. So it speaks to, like, maybe them not having the names, the talent. Isn't that a little scarier? It's a little scarier that, like, everything was working right. They just didn't have the guys to take on the skill positions with the Rams. So if they run into a really skilled offensive team, will they be able to do it? Or Akeem doesn't matter because Josh Allen's out here scoring 6 touchdowns a game, putting up 30.
They got Josh Allen. And they got some rushers on defense. So maybe it's a game they get hot in the playoffs and they get a bunch of sacks. They get some tip balls and things like that. But just from the blind eye, maybe it's from last night, Kay. I seen the Rams dropped 44 on them. Now, the Rams is nice. Cooper Kupp and Puka is nice.
Yeah.
But they dropped 44. Man, I wouldn't feel good about that. If I was in that secondary, I'd be like, shit, Kay, we in trouble.
I feel like
we can't win a chip like this.
Yeah, I feel you on that, Akeem, but I feel like the defensive line's going to have to step it up in the playoffs for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, you play with Von Miller. His first step, his get-off is the most ridiculous get-off in the NFL, possibly in history of being the fastest. I feel like Von is going to have to step it up a little bit, a couple of the other guys on the defensive line, and put pressure on the quarterback, on whoever they're playing, so, he feels it and then possibly throws an interception or two right to a defender. Because, like you said, there's kind of no names in the secondary for the Buffalo Bills. I feel like that's why LA was able to throw the ball on them, even though it wasn't like they were misplaced or out of position. They got to have a guy, eventually that can go up and just make a play and get that pick, right, so the momentum changes and then they can go down and score with Josh Allen. So I feel like the D-line, though, if they want something to happen, create a turnover, the D-line is going to have to put pressure on the quarterback when it comes down to the playoffs for the Bills.
No sacks for this defense. 3 quarterback hits, to Akeem's point. And Akeem, want to know who they have next? The Lions with Jared Goff, who I remember you're a pretty big fan of his game. Yeah. I remember you coming on the show and talking about that a lot.